Hello students. So today let us discuss how microbes helps us in production of biogas. Now what is biogas? Now biogas is a fuel gas that can be used as a source of energy. It is a mixture of various gases like methane, carbon dioxide, hydrogen, etc. But methane forms the major portion of it. We can say biogas is made up of 65% of methane. It is a renewable source of energy resulting from biomass, that is fuel obtained from plant and animal products. Now plant and animal wastes like vegetable waste and sewage, cow dung and residue after harvesting crops are decomposed in absence of oxygen to give biogas. Now this methane or this biogas is also called as gobar gas. Why it is called as gobar gas we'll come to know as we proceed in the lecture. But before that, let us see which microbes help in biogas production. Now methanogen is a microbe which help in biogas production. So we can say methanogens basically act upon the waste or the residual material and convert it or helps in production of biogas. So we can say that these methanogens are anaerobic bacteria. They grow on anaerobic sludge during sewage treatment. These are found in the stomach of cattle, and so the excreta of cattle called as gobar is rich in methanogens. Now the biogas produced can be used for various purposes. For example, we can say cooking, lighting, etc. Now let us talk about the biogas plant where production of this biogas is taking place or the production of biogas takes place. Let us look into its construction as well as how this plant works, that is the working of the plant. So first of all, as we can see that the entire construction is a dome-like structure. Now there is a mixing tank present in this construction or the setup where cow dung and water are mixed. Mixing up of cow dung and water takes place in the mixing tank, and the mixture which is prepared now is known as slurry. The mixture which is prepared now is known as slurry. Now this slurry is fed into digester. Now this slurry is fed or it is led into the other section of the entire setup which is known as digester, which is a sealed chamber. Now this thing has to be kept in mind that digester is a sealed chamber with no oxygen. Now if there is no oxygen supply, that means anaerobic microbial activity will take place. Now as I said that this sealed chamber has no entry for oxygen for anaerobic microbial activity, so methanogens will start their work here. Now due to the activity of this methanogens, gases such as methane, carbon dioxide are generated, and all the above gases form the biogas which is stored in the gas tank. Now from this gas tank, gas is taken out through the outlet. Now let us quickly talk about the advantages of biogas. Now this biogas is an excellent fuel, and this fuel is very cheap and it is also renewable, and no harmful residue is left in the environment. So it does not causes any kind of pollution to the environment. Now it burns without smoke. Now again, if when we are burning this or we are consuming this biogas, no harmful gases or no harmful smoke is emitted. So again, it is such a fuel that is not creating any kind of pollution in the environment. Now this biogas has high heating capacity as compared to other fuel, and as I said earlier that there is no residue left behind, and whatever residue, if left over, whatever residue is left after the formation or after the making of biogas is left, this residue is used as an excellent manure. Now let us also see some disadvantages of it. So first of all, it contains contaminant gases which can be corrosive to metal parts. So as we have already discussed that there is an entire setup for the preparation of this biogas, and when we talked about the biogas, we did not only see the main component, that is the methane gas, but it also has other gases in traces or in small quantity. So there are certain gases present in the biogas which can act corrosive to the metal parts of the entire structure. Now next, not feasible to locate at all the locations. That means the entire setup cannot be located everywhere. It has to be located in such a area or in such a place where we can get enough cow dung or cattle dung for the biogas production. And the last one is efficiency is less as compared to other fuel. Though it is a very good source of renewable energy, it has its advantages of its own, but when we try to compare with other fuels and check the efficiency of the gas, we can see that it is a little bit lower efficient than the other fuels. So this was all about how microbes are helping us in production of biogases. Now let us see the next topic, that is microbes as biocontrol agents. Now the very first question that comes in our mind is that what is biocontrol? Now biocontrol are the biological methods that are used to control plant diseases and pests. Now most of the times, to control the pest or insect attack, the farmers use chemical pesticides and insecticides. But these chemical pesticides and insecticides, they cause great harm to the soil and the crop as well. So there are some biological methods by which this harm from pests and insects can be controlled by using living organisms. So basically this biocontrol can be said to as use of living organisms to control insects and pests. Now before talking about biocontrol agents, let us first learn about the various disadvantages of insecticides and pesticides. So first of all, as you can see in the screen, that these are toxic. That means they can cause great harm to all life forms. Now these insecticides and pesticides cause soil and water pollution. Now when the farmers use these chemical insecticides or pesticides, they are directly sprayed on the plant that can seep into the soil. Now these insecticides and pesticides, though they are helping in killing or eliminating the pests that are causing harm to the plants, but they are getting incorporated into the soil as well, and these may disturb the pH balance or the fertility of the soil in future. On the other hand, we can see when these insecticides are sprayed on the land and when there is a heavy rain, these chemicals can get incorporated into that rainwater as well and seep from the land into some nearby water body. Now these chemicals, along with the rainwater, when they are seeping into the nearby water body, what it is causing? It is causing harm to the useful insects and organisms present in that water body itself. So overall we can see that these insecticides and pesticides are not only causing harm to the useful living organisms on soil, but it is also causing great harm to the aquatic life as well. Now usage of chemical insecticides and pesticides for killing the insect and pest can also cause disturbance in the food chain. How? Killing pests can create problems for those animals which depend on pests either for food or host. So if we are killing the pests, the other organism that feed on them or depend on them, they will run short of their prey, and if they run short of their food, what will happen? They will also start to die off. Now let us talk about what these biocontrol agents are. So we can say that biocontrol agents are the natural enemies of insect pests or weed. Now let us see these enemies and how these enemies can be categorized into several groups and how they cause harm to the insects and pests. So the first one is the predator. Now what are predators? These predators can prey upon pests or weed. Now let us see some of the examples of these predators. The first one is the ladybugs. Ladybugs are the predators of aphids, small insects and mites. Second is dragonfly. Dragonfly feeds on the larva of mosquitoes and therefore helps in eliminating mosquitoes. There are certain more examples like centipedes, spiders, frogs, lizards. These are all considered as garden predators as they feed on small insects and worms. And one more very interesting example is the cats. These cats helps in eliminating the rodents, especially the mice. Now let us talk about the pathogens. These pathogens, they cause disease to the pests or weeds. So first example we will take from the bacteria. Now Bacillus thuringiensis, it is also known as BT. They infect beetles, butterflies, moths, etc. Now there are certain fungi that can also be used as predators against pest or weeds. First example is the Metarhizium, which infects mites, grasshoppers. Second is Trichoderma, that will cause fungal and bacterial growth on tree wounds. And the last is Cordyceps, that acts against arthropods. And the last pathogen is the viruses over here. Rabbit hemorrhagic virus and baculoviruses are taken as an example that infects the rodents and invertebrates. Now let us talk about the parasitoids. These are widely used as biocontrol agent. Now what these parasitoids do? They lay their eggs on the body of the host. Now host here is the insect pest. As the larvae grow, the host or the pest is killed. There are three examples mentioned over here. Amphidius colemani, which attacks aphids, and Eretmocerus and Encarsia formosa, that attacks the white flies. And the last one is the herbivores. These are the animals basically that feeds on plants. Now over here, these herbivores, what are they doing? They are feeding on weeds. Now what are weeds? These are the unwanted plants that grow along with the wanted or desirable plant. So when these herbivores are used, they will feed on the non-desirable plant, that is the weed, and they will use it as their food. So this was all about how microbes helps us as biocontrol agents.